Hi guys, Coach Fenz here from FTP Training. Down here at Stromlo in Canberra with Mark Tupalski, a long-term FTP rider that's ridden in pretty much every discipline now, from the road with Avanti Iceaway, with torque, nutrition, raced World Cups abroad, and is an all-round top guy and super gun rider. So thanks for joining us this morning, Mark.
Thanks for having me, Fenz.
Good, mate. So look, what we were going to talk about today is something that, you know, is a really interesting topic. I've briefly touched upon it in a Friday Tips with Fenz before now, but it's something that we really need to get right to get the best experience out on your mountain bike, and that's tyre pressures. So, you know, tyre pressures for riding on your mountain bike, especially nowadays, really we should be using tubeless. If you haven't got a tubeless setup, you really need to be going for a tubeless setup, don't you, Mark?
Yeah, definitely. It just allows you to run the pressures you need.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've just been out this morning. I haven't got tubeless in, had a tube on, took a bit of a dodgy line on a rock garden, you know, ended up with a snake bite puncture, and had to stop and change a tube. So again, definitely not Optimus Prime. You're definitely not able to run the tyre pressures, which allow what we've discussed before, to have some conformity in that tyre, so it conforms to the trail and gives you better grip. So from an XC perspective, Mark, what would be your normal tubeless sort of tyre XC pressures?
Well, it sort of changes with rider weight a bit because of how hard you're pushing on it. But for, say, someone like myself, I'm 67 kilos. In both my XC and enduro bike, I run close to 20 psi in the front, and then sort of mid to high 20s in the back, so 26 to 28 in the rear. That's basing it off out here at Stromlo, where we've got a very loose surface, so you're looking for a softer tyre pressure to be able to basically roll with the surface a little bit and take away some of the slip that you get, because if you go too hard, it just pushes through the gravel and you end up washing out everywhere.
Yep, fantastic. So I mean, I know, you know, that sort of tyre pressures, I've seen people running tyre pressures as low as under 20 pound per square inch. What are the issues with doing that? What are the common problems with running too lower pressures?
Well, if you go too low, I mean, one of the obvious ones is you can still actually pinch flat a tubeless tyre, and a lot of the time it results in rim damage, and with carbon rims these days that can be very expensive. So it's all about playing at borderline of actually seeing where you get the most grip before you start to actually still clip rocks and playing that borderline. The other part of it is as well, if you come down a section, so let's say you can go over the back of Stromlo and out to Deep Creek and some of the fun sections out the back, but you can come down the front to Luge and hit some berms. When you're sitting in a berm, you've got a lot of force rolling on the tyre, and if you run too low and get below that 20, you can actually burp the tyre with tubeless, and essentially it's popping the bead off the rim because it's not held on with that much pressure behind it. And so if you find that with your weight and you're running 15 psi and you get halfway down Luge and you roll a tyre off the rim, probably need to up it by a few psi, and it's just playing that borderline between your weight, your riding style, and the surface you're on.
Yeah, fantastic. I know full well that someone like the mad frother Josh Carlson, I know he runs incredibly high pressures on his tyres, really, for tubeless, and the reason for that is he's so aggressive in the corners, he literally rips tyres off the rim. Yeah.
He also rips corners apart.
He does rip corners apart, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, look, think about the tyre pressures you're going out there and riding with, guys, because not only does it enable you to ride faster if you've got that conformity and a little bit of give in the tyre, it just improves the overall experience of riding your bike. So play around with your tyre pressures. As Mark said, he's running slightly less in the front because obviously, again, you're guiding that through rocks. That tends to be one that you don't hit and slash tyre walls with as much. And also the rear can drift a little bit more and you're still in control of it. Yep, fantastic. All right, guys, thanks very much. Thanks very much for joining us this morning, Mark. That's great.
Thanks, Fenz.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks, guys. I'll catch you out in the trail. Bye-bye.